have quite a bit to discuss. Before we're done, I'm sure the other speakers will be able to join the conversation. So just a quick introduction for people who might be joining the Reverse 2050 conversations for the first time. Just to take you through what we've been doing and to set the tone for what today's conversation would be about. Part of what has really inspired us to get on this project, the Reverse 2050 project, is part of the foresight that we've seen when you map out some of the predicted events, situations, etc., things that would happen to river states over the next decade, 2 decades plus, that needs preparation from the state and from the people within the next couple of years. And, especially the fact that most of these things are not part of the conversation within the governance and government circles. Things like energy generation and the need to switch to renewable energy, state-led power generation, things around population explosion and the fact that there'll be 4 million extra people added to the river state population over the next 10 years. Things around the need to diversify economically because over the next decade, the shift from crude oil and fossil fuel will be taking effect, especially following like climate change and global warming. Things like the rise in sea level that threatens existence of coastal communities and stuff like that. So there are many of these threats. There are also stuff around food security. I think someone is trying to join us, so they're calling me. So there are also things around food security. And so today, the reason why we're doing this series is part of bringing the states to think about the future, but also to plan and be able to execute projects around the future. And so we've been discussing across 15 thematic areas, some of the areas that the state can diversify its economy to. Currently, more than 90% of the economy is focused on oil. And so, just give me a sec to put my phone on focus. Cool, yeah. And so that's part of why we've been having these series of conversations over the past 6+ months now, focused on bringing the state towards this ideal. We've engaged quite a number of stakeholders, and there's still a lot more stakeholders that we're going to engage as part of this process. We've begun this conversation series online, but the plan is eventually we're going to be able to migrate these conversations into already existing forums, events that are happening within the city, stakeholder groups, political parties, etc., to be able to bring everyone together to have a consensus on what we want as a state, basically, over the next 2 decades plus. So all of these conversations are available online on the Policy Shapers YouTube channel, also available on the website, the project website. So if you go to reverse2050.org, you find all the information about the projects, what we've been doing, and what we seek to achieve as well over the next couple of months. So I hope you can continue to support us even as you're joining today's conversation. Also, we are doing a statewide survey, which is both physical and virtual. For those who are in the diaspora, Reverse people who are in the diaspora, feel free to take part in the virtual or the online version of the survey, reverse2050.org/survey. You'll be able to find information there that gives you a chance to input into the Reverse 2050 vision book, which we publish next year in Q1, Q2, depending on when we're able to finish this project. Hopefully setting the tone and the agenda for the forthcoming elections, but also most importantly, centering citizens' voices at the center of development, because that's basically what this whole thing is all about. How can citizens envision the future that they want to see for themselves? Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's basically the idea behind this project. We feel like today's conversation is quite key because technology is for the next 2 decades, is going to be the sort of like foundation for which all of the growth, all of the innovation, all of the thriving for the states will be built on. And so if you've been following the news, and as I'm sure our guests are mostly tuned into, there's a global tech ecosystem like report. It's an annual report that comes out every year, usually published on Startup Blink. That sort of like ranks tech ecosystems across the world, over 1,450 plus cities. And Port Harcourt is one of the cities that usually also gets ranked. I've followed the report for the past 3 years now. And this year's report came out in May this year, and Port Harcourt was ranked as the number 5 city in Nigeria out of the top 10 cities with the like the thriving, let's say, best tech ecosystems. We were 5 last year as well, so there wasn't any change nationally. However, internationally, we dropped by 35 places. From somewhere around 768 to now 803rd. We we are a threat of many cities coming to overtake us, like Ilorin and Kano and Co, who are really, really growing and moving fast. And so seeing this report, it gives us quite a number of questions, and some of the questions are the questions that the guests will be responding to today. Things like, what ways can technology be used to provide innovative solutions that can drive issues like food security, unemployment, population control, etc. Basically those threats that we talked about earlier, right? What are the things that technology can help us build to address them? Also, things like, what kind of key infrastructure must the government invest in to spark rapid tech development within the city? We know that there's still key systemic constraints like power, access to power, access to affordable internet and useful internet. Those are some of the conversations that we hope that we can also have as well as part of the FGD today. And also, what's the startup mortality rate like? And how can we ensure that startups that emerge within Port Harcourt, within this tech ecosystem, do not die within the first 3 to 5 years? And how can we reduce that mortality rate for startups? So these are a few of the conversations we'll be having today. And this FGD focus group discussion is one of a 2-part series. First, we thought to bring in these young, innovative, creative minds mixed with intelligence and experience. We're excited to have Mr. Robinson Sibe join us as well, who are currently working within the space, but also we'll be speaking to Mr. Ibifuru Asawo, who's also had a chance to work within government and has seen what it's like to work from a policy perspective. And so we'll be having a KI with him on September 13th. So I hope you can join us as well for that conversation. But we think today's conversation really does set the tone for whatever we'll be having and holding Mr. Asawa accountable for when we have that conversation with him. So I'll quickly introduce the experts, and then I'll hand over to the moderators to take us ahead. So first we have Mr. Robinson Tombari Sibe. He's a cybersecurity and digital forensics expert, digital transformation consultant. He's the CEO of the Digital Footprints Limited, has over 2 decades of experience, has delivered several high-impact solutions and worked with several organizations across public and private sectors. He's a thought leader, member of the Forbes Technology Council, visiting fellow at the University of South Wales, and also doctoral dissertation chair for cybersecurity at the Capital Technology University in the United States. He's very well read, as most of you who follow Dr. Sibe know. His academic credentials include a PhD and master's in digital forensics, a master's in telecommunication engineering, a bachelor's in computer engineering across multiple universities around the world. So we're really excited to have Dr. Sibe join the conversation today and looking forward to hearing his thoughts. We also have Ruth Ikegah on the panel today as well. Ruth is an open source program manager. She's a technical writer, GitHub star, public speaker, etc., international superstar and stuff like that. She serves as the community lead at Chaos Africa, working to improve the health of open source communities on the continent. She's, has a very impressive resume. Continues to advocate for open source community, which has led to an inspiration for countless of individuals to embrace open source principles and also contribute their own unique skill sets to this actually ever-evolving landscape of technology. As a result of her commitment and consistency, she's received multiple open source awards from GitHub, being a GitHub star, I think multiple times, from Google, from Women Who Code, She Could Africa, to mention a few. So thank you so much, Ruth, for joining today's conversation. We also have Precious Chukundah, who's currently not in the country, and we're really excited that even though this is an uneven time for him, he's making himself available to join the conversation. Precious is a technology and digital solutions engineer, over a decade of experience building medium and large-scale software applications across platforms. In 2018, he founded unicorn.ng, a fintech company that utilizes blockchain technology to move funds seamlessly and securely. Unicorn eventually joined Renaissance Payments Incorporated in the USA, where Precious served as Chief Product Officer until March 2021. He has also served as product chief at his own startup, FleetBase, which he exited in 2023 following an acquisition. And FleetBase is a fintech company in Nigeria that utilizes blockchain technology to provide solutions around money and cryptocurrency. He's spoken, of course, widely across within the country and outside of the country with around issues like entrepreneurship, technology, innovation, to mention a few. And he's currently investing in new emerging technologies with his latest company, Vibrelta. We also have Udokama Georgewill here. Most people who have been in the tech ecosystem probably know Udokama because she's been quite, she's one of the early people who were working in this space. She's a dynamic leader with over 13 years of experience at the intersection of technology, policymaking, business strategy, and entrepreneurship. She's the founder of Yemert, an agri-tech company tackling the vulnerabilities of smallholder farmers in Africa by providing microinsurance and carbon credits to promote sustainable agriculture. She's a thought leader in emerging technology as well, and contributes to Startup Graveyard Africa, where she documents lessons from failed African startups. And I think that's quite a useful insight that we'll be adding to this conversation today. She also runs Divergent Edge, a newsletter exploring deep thoughts around technology, business, and growth. And Udo is also chair of the Rivers 2050 Vision Book Committee. That's the committee saddled with putting together all of the insights from all the focus group discussions, all the surveys, all the things we're having to see that the book is launched next year. So thank you so much, Udo, for joining us. We also have Bright. Lesi is a cyber-focused software engineer, entrepreneur, technology advocate from River State. He currently serves as a software engineer at Dell Technologies in California, developing next-generation storage systems. He's really passionate about social impact. He's been an IT consultant to Save a Life Mission Hospital, which most of us know, currently based in Port Harcourt since 2019. He's also director of Georgewill Global Resources, providing strategic guidance on tech adoption in Nigeria's energy and resources sector. He holds a Master of Information and Cybersecurity from UC Berkeley, and also a BSc in Computer Science from Illinois Institute of Technology. He's founded 2 ventures, and I'm sure he'll speak a bit about a couple of them. Scooler AI, which is an AI-powered college admissions and immigration platform, and also Lume Gold, a fintech startup tokenizing vaulted gold on the blockchain to give Nigerians low-friction access to the global bullion market. And last but certainly not the least, Mr. Stewart Ezekiel Jr., a data scientist, digital marketing strategist, product expert, startup advisor, public speaker, author, etc., founder and team lead of Harvoxx Tech Hub. He's led the training of over 3,000 tech talents within the city. He's built 50 plus digital products for individuals and businesses, and also incubated 14 startups at Harvoxx Hub. Him and his team drive innovation through platforms like Harvoxx School, Tech Pass Africa, Build with Harvoxx, Tech Launcher, and Brandvox. He champions the vibrant ecosystem in Port Harcourt and beyond, merging entrepreneurship with impact to shape the future of Africa's digital economy. So I had to take time to introduce them. I know that we have eaten into the next time, but it's very key that we know the people who are in the room. And now I'll hand over to the amazing Oyin Kansola Odidi and Dotsun Sani, who are both the rapporteur and moderator for today's conversation. So over to you, Oyin.
Thank you so much, Iben, and thank you to everyone for joining. I just thought to also highlight that well, I know you already know, but just to, just to highlight to you that we're proud of the work you are doing. And, interestingly, this FGDs kind of remind me of the Tales by Moonlight that we used to listen to or watch back in the days on NTA. And it looks like it's just a group of few people who are having these conversations, but I can guarantee you that it's making a lot of impact, and it might not be visible at the moment, but you are doing a great job. So thank you. And thank you to all the panelists, distinguished panelists, for taking our time to be with us today. So I'll just dive right into the panelist session for today. And I'll start with a question for everyone. Um, like Eben has highlighted already, the tech ecosystem of Port Harcourt is the fifth strongest in Nigeria and ranked 803rd globally in the 2025 Startup Blink Ecosystem Index. As people who have worked closely in the ecosystem in the city right from inception, what do you make of this ranking? I would start with Ruth Ikegah.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared to go first, but hi everyone.
Hi.
The question is what I think of the ranking. Okay. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm excited to be here. My name is Ruth. I'm now based in Lagos, although I grew up in Port Harcourt for all my life. I moved to Lagos like five years ago. But I think so it's quite sad seeing that ranking because I think like even introduced me, I literally transitioned from tech, from microbiology to tech, right? So, and I know a lot of the stars that I know today that are big in tech, a lot of them, came from Port Harcourt, all the work that I've been doing, right? I grew from the community, from even tech, the River State ICT Center, Tech Creek. So it's sometimes it starts with that, but I'm so happy. I think I'm so excited about this initiative. And I think when Eben told me, I was like, even though I can't, like I have a very busy day today, but I was like, oh, I would really love to make it to see what's going on and how I can help. But I think there's so much potential that we have to actually like improve on that. Like there's so much talent from the people that I know that are also in my circle. I know that there's like so much potential and talent for us to be able to move past that stage. So first, I feel it's a sad realization, but then I think there's a lot of potential.
Okay, thank you so much. I hear you. There's a lot of potential. It means we can do much better. Precious, over to you. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the ranking. Precious.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, hello to a fellow panelist. Now, I'm actually surprised that we are ranked fifth. I think maybe it should be lower. And you mean, don't call me a prophet of doom. It's funny, and here's the truth. The truth is that when you hear about the ecosystems in maybe other parts of Nigeria that are higher than Port Harcourt or slowly catching up to Port Harcourt, I can guarantee you, I can bet you that more than 20% of the people in those locations are from Port Harcourt. The largest cryptocurrency platform in Africa today was built from Port Harcourt. Not many people know that. One of the fastest growing microfinance banks, Raven, the other one is Roku, the cryptocurrency platform. And then you discover that a lot of these people are leaving because of, several things. The first speaker talked about Tech Week. It's funny because I know a lot of people that, I mean, I was privileged to be part of people that train people at Tech Week as well. And I know a lot of them, a lot that are no longer in Port Harcourt. So it's like Port Harcourt is just a starting point, breeding ground, and then other localities just, pick those things because there are lots of things that we haven't put in place. So I'm not I mean I'm happy and sad about the ranking. When I say happy and sad, happy that we are having this conversation, right? It's forcing us to have conversations and be serious about what we are doing. Sad that it's just the reality of of things on ground. It's a PH, like the city is a very great place at nurturing great talents. We have people across the world doing amazing things. However, we are not great at retaining and keeping those talents. So that's just all I have to say about the ranking.
Thank you so much. I think I dare say that the creativity, the talent is really rich in the South. I'm not from the South, but there's a lot of stuff happening in there. So I can relate to some degree. Udo, what do you have to say about the ranking?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Happy to be here. Happy to officially see you, Oyin, rather. And so with regards to ranking, like every other person has said, it's pretty much sad. It's sad because for me personally, I mean, I take it personal because we had actually put in a lot of work to see that, tech at least, is starts up and people now start to appreciate innovation within that ecosystem. And so to see the rankings and to also still be in this ecosystem as well, but in other regions, and see how much progress, and it's not even just progress, it's visible progress. It's a progress that everybody can see. To see these things happen and to see them take over where we're at the moment in Port Harcourt and River States generally. I'll just say that, I mean, I share in the sentiment of every other person that there could be so much more that we could be known for. But yes, I'll just leave it at that, not to flog it further than, it's been said. But yes, we just could be so much more. It's hard to see that we're here, but at the end of the day, we already know, we're not oblivious to what can get us, to where we want to be or where we should be. We just need to work strategically and have everybody come together to pulling their network resources and whatnot. But yes, with the rankings, yes, we can be so much more. That's it.
Thank you so much. Robinson, please, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to the team. I like what you're doing. I'm very sorry. My voice is not great. I'm under the weather. I managed to make it to this. And also to apologize in advance. I would quietly drop off the call at the top of the hour. That is because I am also involved in another program which also the community benefits. So I think it's in the interest of our collective good. We have a cyber skills breach program and we have a mentorship session that is currently going on. It just started at 4:30, just about 1 minute ago. So I thought I could do 1 full hour here and then exit there, but so I'm going to do the next 30 minutes. Hopefully I'll be able to answer the questions within that period. So sorry about that. Then in terms of the questions which you have asked, on the lighter note, I was thinking, 2050, I will be a 70-year-old man, even though I already have a lot of gray hair that makes me look close to it. I'm 45 currently. So 2050, I'll be a full-blown elder in age and in everything.
I don't know if it's just my network, but it seems we...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Yeah, we can hear you, sir. I think it's Oyin's network.
All right. So yeah, I was thinking 2050, I would be a full-blown elder, and at that time, I probably can't do much other than maybe read newspapers and complain of what I didn't do right. So I'm happy that I am still active now and I'm able to still contribute. It's rather sad, going back to the ranking which you shared, and sad because I know the potential of the city, having been a full-blown Rivers boy who has traversed both the rural and the urban area. I've worked most of my life here. I'm currently chatting or having this discussion from Abuja, and ordinarily, maybe that would not have been my choice to do so, but I have to do so to also survive the business in Port Harcourt, because sometimes you have to take those decisions even to, for patriotic reasons, to keep the one in Port Harcourt afloat. So it's not good enough. Port Harcourt is a very vibrant city. Port Harcourt has very excellent humans, and the rest of the speakers had said so, Precious had said so, and the other speakers also had said so. That cannot be disputed, whether it's in EdTech, it's in today, in digital forensics. What I do currently here, there's no other company that do it in the country, most parts of West Africa, or even the continent itself. And that came out of Port Harcourt, but unfortunately, we also don't know how to blow our trumpet. I know when I started my career doing GIS, Geographic Information System. And that company I worked in was in Port Harcourt. That was arguably the first proper GIS company in Nigeria. So there's a lot of things that happen in Port Harcourt we do not know how to celebrate. I remember the first web-based application when Google wasn't doing turn-by-turn mapping and routing. We had done that many, many years ago. But again, still part of the fact that we lack the right ecosystem that could nurture people. I was a young guy in my 20s at the time. We didn't know a lot. We didn't have business knowledge. We didn't know how to run companies. I resigned to start up my stuff at 27 at the time, which was madness, because in my era, everybody wanted to work in Total, in Shell, or maybe in the banks or something, So it was like madness to do so. So I've seen Port Harcourt, I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and sometimes I want to lose up. So when I see people like you with this vibrancy and with this energy, I'm encouraged, and I want to support all what you're doing, because it's a bad situation. It's really bad. Look at the city, look at how we are blessed naturally, and then look at what we have inflicted. Let me just read out some of the things you may not, or you may take for granted. How many states in Nigeria has 2 airports? How many states in Nigeria has 2 seaports? How many states in Nigeria has an oil and gas free zone? How many states in Nigeria has 2 state universities, now 2 federal universities, 2 state polytechnics, 1 federal polytechnic, 1 federal college of technical education, and many other good private universities also springing up. We have the Wigwe universities and all that. These are things that are strategic, that should attract growth, that should, catalyze a very vibrant ecosystem. But nothing. These things they're just there, and we do not look at how to plug them into enterprise, into commercial, to make it a commercial magnet, to make it a commercial attraction. Look at even the oil and gas sector. Apart from the fact that the multinationals are there, look at the industry itself. How many states in Nigeria has 2 refineries? How many states in Nigeria has a petrochemical complex, the biggest in West Africa? How many states in Nigeria have the fertilizer plants we have? How many states in Nigeria has a liquefied natural gas plant? There are communities in Rivers State that enjoy 24 hours power. So it's not only about power. Sometimes we hide behind the fact that we don't have power. Omoku region, they have power 24 hours. In Boni, they have power 24 hours. In most of those places, they don't even pay for power. But we are not able to even harness what we even have. These ones, we already have them. So how can we, drive that enterprise? How can we, drive that spirit, that entrepreneurial spirit, get that community organized? Because if you're not organized, you can't even be ranked. So this whole 5th ranking is even down to the, enterprising spirit of the people like Harvoxx, like all those, brilliant young people who are trying on their own without any support. It's just down to them, not because they have any organized support of any government or any institution, whether state or federal or whatever, or local government. There are lots of very simple things that even a local government could do. There are lots of very simple things that, a state could do. It's not always about money. There are lots, when they talk about universities, how have you positioned the university even to start producing these people that have the wherewithal, that are not thinking like just technicians, but that are thinking like innovators who are able to use their skill set to make money? Because you have to make money. If you don't make money, you can't scale. You need money to scale. You need money to grow. You need money to expand your scope. I went through the missionary journey. The Israelite journey, because we didn't have a lot of things you people have today. So we had to learn the very hard way. the generation of young people now should not go through what we went through, because now there's venture capitals that you're supposed to be able to access capital. If you are taught how to pitch properly, you should be able to, get access to funding, and that didn't exist in my time. So, I mean, sorry, I'm taking too long, but it's something I'm passionate about. Let me just stop here.
We've received the warning. We could hear the warning in your voice. We have too much not to do well. So thank you for that. I'll move over quickly to Bright. Bright, what do you have to say about the ranking? I'm not sure Bright is on the call.
Yeah, he's on the call. So let's have
okay,
Stewart.
let's move to Stewart. Stewart. In 30 seconds, if you can.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Please, I'm sorry I joined pretty late. I had a speaking engagement somewhere and I had to rush up. So I'm not actually surprised listening to Precious and then my boss there, Mr. Thompson Sibe. I feel the pain, and for me, I feel that pain every blessed day. It's easy to celebrate. Oh, maybe we're fifth. Maybe it makes sense to people. I mean, we have 31 states, and then but then are we also asking where were we before? Because if you don't actually know where you were before, it's easy for you to celebrate even when you're falling. Was there a time when we were number 2? Was there a time when the option was Lagos or Port Harcourt? Was there a time when it was more like, right? So at what point did we go down to 3? At what point did we get down to 4? Those that the states in position 4, at what point, what did they do that took them there, right? So for me, I don't think there's anything extra to add. I just feel the ranking calls, it should call for some sort of reflection to say, hey, where were we before? How did we get here, really? Are we actually supposed to be there? How organized? And I'll wrap up with what Precious said, which is absolute truth. And I feel it firsthand every month. It's more like we're just breeding techies for other states to drive. It's what it is. It's just like we train, we nurture them, and then before you know it, 6 months, 12 months after investing, whatever it is, they're gone because there's not much you can do. So you don't have the support, the kind of system that should keep them here. And Dr. Topsy said something. He said, you need money. You can't tell them to just stay here if actually, by all means, they need to survive. So someone is offering them something better in Lagos. You can ask them not to go and all that. So for me, I just feel it calls for us to actually think deep and understand that, yeah, this is, and cheers to all the guys that do what I call, they broke the cement of the hymen of the tech ecosystem for most of us, right? And I understand how even painful it would be for them for seeing how far and all that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think one key point that stands out across all the speakers is the ranking. Where are we relative to what? Where were we before, and what kind of potential do we have? Should we be where we are based on the kind of potential we have? So I mean that's it sounds very sad. I mean, the way Udo was shaking her head when she wanted to answer that question was, but then there's hope. So we'll just ride on the hope. Udo, I'm going to go straight to you. You've done a lot of work in the tech startup ecosystem, right? And then a lot of this ranking. Sorry?
Not to cut you short, but I'd rather maybe we have Dr. Robinson because he's going to live at the top of the hour. So
oh yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you so much. So Mr. Robinson, I'd like to ask you, one of the major challenges techies from Nigeria have faced is the issue of being called a fraudster. You gave a TED talk about this a few years ago, and as part of your work in cybersecurity, you have worked extensively on this consulting for various security agencies. How do you think we can shake off that coloration, the coloration of Yahoo fraudster, that brand, and also propagate a safer internet for Nigerians?
Thank you, and thank you very thoughtfully for considering my request to exit at the top of the hour. So thank you very much. I think that the first question will be that, do we deserve the tag? I do not know who is monitoring this session, but I'll try to be as conservative as possible. But deep down, we know the realities. That's because I do not want to brand the state with a certain tag, or Nigeria, as a matter of fact. But the true situation is that it's bad. It's a very bad situation. We have a lot of young people who have gotten into this, and it is not because they are thieves or because they have a thieving DNA in them that makes us become kleptomaniacs or electronic kleptomaniacs, if there's such a word. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, the research which I did, I tried to, my initial hypothesis was, I looked at it basically that, okay, it is because of the lack of policing efficiency. That's why this thing is prevalent. But the research disproved it, and what I found to be the key factor motivating this, they are all socioeconomic in nature: lack of jobs, unemployment, poverty, and then peer pressure, and a little of the culture thing of, people suddenly worshiping money, and all we care about is, who is driving that car, or who is wearing that wristwatch that's $2 million. That's all we care about today. But I'm privileged to also teach, which I try to do as part of my corporate social, my community service is basically why I still do that. And I see these young people, you see 17, 18-year-old boys. Anytime I teach and I try to use that as an example in class, you see they're looking at each other. You could tell that half of them are into this. And the value chain is such that you could be part of them without knowing who your victim is. Virtual anonymity is one of the attractions. The fact that an arm robber is putting a gun at you, you're begging the arm robber, and you're appealing to his conscience, and that can trigger in and he spares you. But the cyber criminal most of the time doesn't care. He doesn't know you. He doesn't care who you are. He doesn't see your emotions. So these boys, some of them just fit into an aspect of it. Some are just monitoring a screen, waiting for somebody to key in a credit card information. And they're just young boys who get paid maybe 100,000 or maybe $100 or $50 or something small like that for doing that task. So they don't see anything wrong with it. And I did an analysis. I looked at the case files and stuff, and most of them, the large chunk of those who go to jail or who are convicted for $100, $200, $500. I mean, that can't even solve any problem. It can't buy you a decent meal for 1 week, but yet they're doing it. So there's a high dose of, at the bottom of it is the underlying economic problem that is motivating them to do that. Now, how can we stop that? You can't stop it without addressing that problem. You have to address that problem. If you do not, it's just like armed robbery. If they're not doing that, they will be robbers or they'll go into other vices. So this one is simple, in quote, is classy. They are in their cozy rooms with AC and they are cramped in one space. They're doing it, and there is bloodless. There's nobody that's going to shoot them in the process and all that. So they're always going to do it if they see it as a valuable, as an economic attraction to do it. Now, if you address that, which you can't address in a day, but you can start somewhere, then the next thing is that simple thing which we all neglect, which is awareness, cybersecurity awareness. A lot of these guys do not think deep about what they're doing. I've been privileged to speak to at least 2 international organizations, the last being BBC this year, on sextortion issues. And, when you speak to these cyber criminals, they do not know or imagine that what they're doing could lead to the death of somebody. And in the US, I think last year alone, over 26 persons killed themselves because of cyber criminals, because of people who, they are victims of sextortion. So I know the average Nigerian does not want to kill. That is not the common thing people here want to do. They just think that, like we say in local parlance, I want chance and make I chance and make I obtain them, That's the basic motivation. But if a lot of them know that this thing can lead to the death of somebody, I think they will think twice about it. And you can't convey that to them without doing cyber crime awareness or cybersecurity awareness. As I speak to you, I do not know of any university in Rivers State that have, normally I think September, October is usually dedicated world over as cybersecurity awareness month. No university in Rivers State will do anything to educate them. No, they don't speak about them. I am a lecturer in Rivers State University. I have been a resource person globally on this issue. They are not even going to take advantage of the fact that I'm available to speak to them to, try and tell this thing, preach this thing to people, because you can't wake up and expect them to stop. So we can tackle this. I can speak. If I keep speaking, I'm going to take the time for everybody. So let me just stop here. Maybe some other day, because it's bad. I mean, last year, if I'm not mistaken, Rivers State almost 600-700 convictions alone for cybercrime. And they are all young people, 20 years, 21 years, 19 years. And they do plea bargain. They don't understand that plea bargain means you actually committed the crime, even though they are allowing you, so you can't contest election. You can't, when you go to the embassy, your name is there, your name is in the public record as a criminal. It's young people. And so I'm passing this to you, Eben. It's another thing you would fight. You would help, because we were becoming elders. When a winger who used to depend on his pace, when he gets to like 30, 31 years, if he wants to prolong his career, he will transit into the midfield and use more of his brain than pace. So I have transited to the midfield, so you can take it from there. But it's a serious issue. If we do not deal with this issue in the next 5 years, we would be in a sorry situation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson. Just before we let you off, we appreciate your contribution so far, but I'd like to ask you a question we always ask our experts on these focus group discussions. What is the Rivers State of your dreams? How do you envision, or what do you envision for the state within the next 25 years? You have the benefit of hindsight, so we would like to hear from you.
I'll keep it very simple. Rivers State is filled with talented people. If we just run a state that is merit-driven, we would get there. And that's the initial set of those leaders, which I think Eben in his opening referred to, the era of SPIF. I mean, if you go back, for those of you who have access to, I know you were not all born that time. I wasn't even born myself, but I am a student of history. So I went back to research the quality of those men. They could pass for the Federal Executive Council of the nation. They were that solid, and that's why they could wake up one day and resign and walk out on the governor. You can imagine how many of our people can wake up and resign. I mean, they collectively protested and resigned. So the quality, if you run a merit-based system, a lot of things will come into place. We have very smart people. We have ideas, but we can't bring this idea because the system is not merit-based. If I didn't trust the people organizing this program, I wouldn't be there. For a long time, I've not been honoring any event organized by government in Rivers State, particularly because I'm privileged. I know the people, so I know, I just avoid it. The reason I avoid it is so that it is not going to be mistaken for endorsement. I know how I channel. I used to talk, I used to write, I used to protest, I used to come, and all that. But I have decided at some point, as you grow older, you just, So if we run a merit-based system where if Mr. A has the best ingredients to fit into this, give him the opportunity, he will fix that sector. If Mr. B is the best tailor in town, let him handle school children, sewing uniform for school children, and he will flourish. He will be able to help shape. The same thing with farming, the same thing with ICT. We know how to fix these things, but if the system is not merit-based, it's not merit-driven, we will continue to be where we are. You can't tell somebody down the road who knows nothing about nothing to come and seek your opinion, because he doesn't even know you have the opinion. Even if you say it, he wouldn't know.
Thank you so much. I think it's a good place to also thank you for accepting our invitation. Your contributions have been really meaningful. So Thank you so much for that, sir. I would jump to Ruth as well. I understand she might have to drop off. So Ruth, I would ask you a question. You're an active leader in the open source community. And as you may be aware, a lot of startups are embracing open source as a means of survival and as a design philosophy. How do you think Port Harcourt startups and tech hubs can plug into open source movement? How can they leverage this?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me again. I really loved when Mr. Robinson was speaking. He spoke with so much passion, and I could even feel it because I really, like, as a young person, so many times it's really hard to see older people that are so passionate about young people and so passionate about our ecosystem. So I really echo a lot of the things that he has said. And I think before he answered the last question, you asked him when he talked about how much young people are being convicted and how much it's going to impact our ecosystem. I just wanted to, before I answer the question, I just wanted to add something there that one of the power that we have here in Africa, in Nigeria, is our population, our youthful population, the youthful entrepreneurs. So like what he actually said is so important, how we need to change that narrative with young people, because if we have a lot of people infrastructure. So I travel a lot, and when I go to conferences, tech conferences and these kind of gatherings, a lot of times I see older people, like people with gray hair, white hair. So a lot of, like, in Europe, in America, like a lot of their ecosystem is like, built, the people that are building those ecosystems, they're almost like 80, they're almost like going up. But if you come back here, if you look back here in Africa, you see that there are a lot of young people. While we have a good population actually involved in like this cyber crime, we also have people that are doing the work, young people that are showing up. And like these other people, this other set of like young people doing like crime, they are like ruining the image that we have, and it really brings us down so much, because then our population is mostly youthful. So that comment, I think that comment really struck to me, and something that even myself as a young person, I want to see how I can keep mentoring other people that are young like me to take the right path, because I think a lot of it is information, right? It's just that the information access, it's really limited, and sometimes bad information spreads so fast, and like young people just get to pick up this thing as the next big thing, or this thing gets me money faster, right? And because of how much our infrastructure is poor, people want to go the faster route, like just go like, let me just do this very fast thing to get me money fast, because like the ecosystem, there's inflation, there's so many things. So we need to like take charge of that information. So I really wanted to like just add on to what Mr. Robinson said. And then coming back to your question, if I'll just even give a brief summary of what open source technology is, because then the way you phrase the question, it seems like startups are already doing it, but like that's not the case a lot of times here. So open source technology is, sometimes free technology that is publicly available that anybody can use. So people right back in like the 80s, like a long time ago, had put together these softwares that are publicly accessible, and they brought about that thing from a need. There was a need to put out those software to make it. I think at that time, software wasn't something that was accessible. Like it was mainly big universities, like universities that had a lot of infrastructure, and then like their ecosystem was still building up at that time. So there's a lot of lessons we can learn from how the open source culture was brought up. Like, so at that time, there was no publicly accessible software. People needed to, go far away to compile software. Like software wasn't even something that you had to buy a license, and it was so expensive, right? So people saw the need to, okay, how do we come together and create software that people can, with little assets, you can put together the software, you can change how it looks like, you can use it to build your own thing. So people actually came together, like they are pioneers of the open source movement, like Linus Torvalds, which is the most popular one we know as the Linux operating system, right? So people actually, the founder of that did it while he was in school. He was still young while he was in school when he put that together. And if you look at it, Linux holds a lot of the technologies we use today. If, for example, Linux should go away, even this Zoom call, I'm sure we're not going to be having it. Like, a lot of our infrastructure depends on just people's innovation. So how can we learn from that as an ecosystem that is trying to grow? Like I said, like this initiative, the 2050 is so great, and I see so much potential for it. How can we learn from that as an ecosystem, not just even in Port Harcourt, like in Rivers State, in Nigeria entirely? Open source is a concept that people are still trying to adopt, people are still trying to use. So what is the benefit of using open source software? In the sense that you don't have to always pay for, like, because proprietary software is expensive. Even the Windows operating system that a lot of people use today is crack versions. Like, nobody actually buys it. But in the real sense, we're supposed to like buy the Windows, pay for that subscription. But a lot of times people manipulate that and people use it for free. But initially, it's not something that's for free. So open source software means that I can take that software, how it was made, and I can use it to build building blocks for my own startup. So, like, say, for example, you're trying to grow, you're trying to build a startup, right? Or you're trying to solve for a need. Now you need building blocks. Nobody wants to build from scratch again, right? People need things that would, enable them to build better. So when you use open source technology, you're saving costs. You're saving resources that we don't even have here, like infrastructure that we don't have here. So as part of this initiative, I think one of the things is inculcating the open source culture into the people that were spreading this information across. So say, for example, 2050, I think I saw the roadmap, but I took a picture to look at it later. So we're trying to breed more startups from River State. How can they use open source tech? How can they adopt open source technology to build? There's a lot of work. Lately, I've been involved in a lot of public sector work within open source, and that's basically e-governments. Like, a lot of governments, like Nigerian government, I think there's still a lot of work. Like, I think the minister is trying to do, I've been seeing a lot of their work. But from like other African countries that I've seen, they have been using open source to, like, across e-government, across like building, instead of having to spend a lot of money on like proprietary software, building something. And what does that involve? Now bringing the community, like I said earlier, like, we have there's so much talent, from like everybody can see that there's so much talent here. So how can we now bring the community, the youth, to build that technology? We already have access to free software that is publicly available. You don't have to figure out every single thing. These building blocks are there for you to innovate at a faster rate. We even now have, like, AI is now everywhere. Like, you can innovate so quickly, right, at the speed of light these days, right? So, like, how can we now inculcate, like, these are the building blocks that are made available to you, and this is how you can build, and then build community? Because I think a lot of times, I think from other speakers, they've talked about how much there's so much talent, but the problem is that people don't stay, right? It's not even just a River State problem. Right now, there's a lot of like brain drain that's going to happen within the tech ecosystem. I think some years back, it was with Dr. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a bit. I think you were saying something around the brain drain being within the
Yeah, so
medical
like people
field.
are leaving a
Yeah.
lot, like in the tech ecosystem. There's this the UK tech nation. A lot of people are leaving. Like, sometimes I open my eyes and close my eyes for like all my friends are gone. Do you get? So like, we're suffering that, and we're literally bringing people are living here and going to build an ecosystem that is already strong. And you see how bad that is. Like, it's affecting us so much. Like, in 5 years, I don't know what would happen. So we need to empower people. So I think this initiative is something that should build community. There's so many communities that have done a lot of work. There's Open Source Community Africa, there's the community that I lead, and these initiatives are led by people that came out of Port Harcourt. Like, so it's such an interesting initiative that I think that community building at the heart of it, and then also those cultures, like those building cultures, living fast money, really, and just inculcating in people that, yes, you need to actually do the work, right? You need to do the work and show up. It's not just about like going into cybercrime. It's building things that a lot of people can use, because we have a lot of problems here that I feel like technology, the digital technology will solve. And just to maybe wrap up, like the river state of my dreams is where cybercrime is not a norm. Really, it's really something that is eating us deep, and it's really preventing us from moving forward. Especially like in the South, you get a lot of that statistic right here, and something that I think that this initiative has the forefront at. Information is so important, and like when the right information passes across the people, they begin to learn. Tech Creek, I can't talk about my tech journey without including like Tech Creek. Like I literally would go from my house, I was staying in town at the time, to Tech Creek to access power and like internet. That free internet, that free Wi-Fi did a lot for me as a person. So imagine multiply that by like 1,000 people, right? With the right information, with the right network. Imagine what that would bring. So like there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of things that we could do. But again, just wrapping it up, one is we need to inculcate that culture of building hard work and like, perseverance, because again, building software is a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. If you're following up with the tech ecosystem, you see how startups start and like fall down even after getting huge amount of VC funding, right? So it's not just about putting in the hard work. Sometimes it's perseverance, resilience in, okay, like this thing that I'm building, it has these challenges. How do I overcome these challenges and become successful? Source incorporated in their stack. So how do we do that, and how do we spread the right information across and give people opportunity, also with partnering with communities? So I think that's my take. I'm so sad that I have to drop off, but like I'm excited that I accepted to be in this conversation, and I'm so grateful for the work that Ben is doing. It's like work like this that improves our community, people's passion. One person just saying, okay, I need to change how things are done, and then they carry a community along with them. And like if 3-4 people are having that same passion, I think we'll move forward. So I'm so grateful. I hope to connect more. I get to know more about what I'll probably have a call with Ben later, but like great work, and so excited to be here to share the stage with every other person.
Thank you so much, Iben. Ruth has asked you to take your flowers. So thank you so much. Off the back of her points around startup debt. So I'll just go quickly to you, Udo. You've done a lot of work and research around the mortality rate of startups. And one of the reasons for the low global ranking in Rivers State is actually tied to that reason. So I'd like to ask you, what do you think can be done to support startups in Port Harcourt, and then of course more broadly Rivers State?
Okay, thank you. And to be honest, I don't know if I can put all of my thoughts in 5 minutes because
maybe 4
out of time. But I'm gonna try. No promises, but I do really have to respect the time and that every other person has to speak. So I'd just narrow down to 3 key main things, and that's it's not far-fetched from, what's the conversations that we have every other day, right? At these like big conferences, I hear of startup, what are those called again? South, some of these like really big conferences that I hear, and I'm asking myself, what do people even talk about in those meetups? And maybe Eben has a few, I guess, ideas to share on, or insights in terms of what are the conversations that happen in those like cloud gatherings. While we're not seeing a lot of actions, right? So are we going to continue that cycle of, organize big conferences and give it flashy names, bring all the flashy speakers and let them, do rinse and repeat, right? Which is one of the things that's really drives, I guess, the Rivers 2050 vision is that we're putting a lot of action in it. We're like walking the talk. So it's not really just about a small community of people or task force, that's been, set up somewhere. It's that we're doing stuff and people are seeing it and we're trying to, share to the rest of the world. So I'm just going to limit to 3 key things, and that's really around capacity, capital, and community. In terms of capacity, I do know that one of the main things that I struggled with, or even like every other stakeholder, with sort of innovation generally and trying to downscale innovation within Port Harcourt and real estate, is the confusion between people, like tech people, right, building what they call products or something to solve a problem, and then they think, oh, that's a company, that's a business, right? But whereas there are just so many things. I mean, entrepreneurship itself is the ghetto. I don't know how we can downscale that or pass that information to people, right? That your product is not just the company itself. It's just like the very small fragment of it. And people need to understand that there are a lot of pieces that you need to build capacity on. You need to understand, first of all, who are you even providing that solution for? Who are you solving this problem for? How do you get them? How do you get them to move from being people who would randomly use your product to now people who would pay to use that product, and people who would keep coming to pay and spend their money on that product, right? So it's really always around, how do you get tech people to not just stop at building or coding or programming these solutions, but how do you get them to understand how economics work? How does finance work? Would they even, sit down to learn it? Because a lot of times those days, what I used to hear was, I'm only the tech person. I'm only the programmer. I'm only the software developer. Maybe if I find somebody else who would help me to, I guess, bring in their knowledge on business development, all of that, to put it together. But I mean, in the case where you don't find those people, would you say that solution literally just dies? And maybe that's the case. That's been the case where you don't have innovations that move from that very stage of conception all the way till, oh, I'm growing. I can now, be in the public eye. I can now like tell the world what it is I've been building, right? There are just very few, people who would sit down to say, hey, I want to get all the training that I need to understand how businesses work, how innovation generally works. Who am I serving? How do I grow this from here to here? So it's really been, one of the challenges, and maybe somebody somewhere would crack the code or hack it. And then there's also the issue of capital, right? Across different ecosystems, maybe in other parts of the world, right? I don't know about Nigeria, where we only have really few angel networks of people who are passionate about the ecosystem and want to put their money where their mouth is. You'd only find barely a few of them. Maybe there's a Lagos angel network, there is Abuja, but it's not really like being functional, and maybe a few private, angel networks. But can we have local people who have, understood, like they've understood the nitty-gritties of how to build innovations and how to even scale those innovations? Can we have them say, hey, let's pull resources here and there. Let's even give the bearers 500K to take one business from here to here. Can we have those people who are like, I've been, Port Harcourt boy or River State boy, and I want to really like, drag other people to put. I see that Uche Aniche is doing something like that, but I don't think that he's still, he's not hitting the nail on the head, which really just marvels me. I have so many questions, but I don't know who to ask, right? So if we can channel all of those into like, bring different people to also work with the government, right? Because in everything that we're doing in this country, or maybe just generally, right, we cannot leave the government out of any conversation. Please forget all those talks around, oh, we can build, without a government, or we can do things. This government will frustrate. If you have not experienced the highest frustration you would, if you're eventually saying that you want to, stand out, or maybe you have a visionary stuff, a futuristic thing that you want to do, I put it to you that the government will be one of the people that would frustrate your efforts, that you will go back to your house, you'll be crying, you'd literally bury your idea on the ground and be like, anybody that wants to do this thing, come and take and go, right? So when we start to figure out who are the best people within the government that really understand how innovation works, to also help us to pull resources, to also help us to give what? Non-dilutive grants. These things are not even like so much money when you think about it. It's like the barest what? 200K. 200K can take somebody's innovation from here to here. So yes, with regards to capital, we need to localize a lot of things. We need to get across to key stakeholders without ignoring the government, right? And then there's also community. We can't flow community. One of the biggest issues around people who are building, and maybe I would still go back to one of the problems that Port Harcourt really has with the people there, is that everybody just wants to build in silos. I can't seem to understand how that behavior, maybe it's particular to people there, or maybe there's something in the air. I don't know. But everybody wants to build, and I'm like, let me get this thing, right? I'm not only me go carry for a head. Like, I will take this thing, I will put it to you that I will take this thing from here to here. But eventually, ask them in the next 3, 6 months, 12 months, you would not find anything about that. So it's like that cycle is just going back and back and back and back and back, where we're not able to have something tangible, right? And that's because there's the essence of community that's missing. Yes, we do have a few hubs that doing some things, and maybe even the I could even use the tech communities today. Precious pretty much has an idea, right? So in those communities, the only time that you hear people speak is when maybe somebody raises something really serious, like a conversation that would get people's attention. But aside that, what can we really say we're doing to maintain or bring people together to understand the idea of building together rather than building themselves, right? Yes, there are fragments, there are clusters, of people doing things here and there. But one thing that I'd really love to see is dragging people from here and there, putting them in things called sandboxes, where they're able to test out their solutions and see the possibilities of those solutions scaling beyond, where pretty much like 3 months, and that those sandboxes have a lot that goes on in there, where obviously I talked about capacity. There's a lot of training that needs to go on. There's a lot of individual checks, right? Behavioral checks that people need to do, because entrepreneurship, trust me, like, I don't even know how to stress it. First of all, we need to see more of people who have key values and principles like integrity, transparency, accountability. These things are not, they're really key for building innovation, right? So it's not really about hiding behind your computer and trying to provide a solution. It's about these really key parts of it. First of all, checking yourself. Am I suitable to lead other people to scale and innovation, right? What are the things that I need to check in within myself? Anyway, that's pretty much what I can say about it.
Thank you so much. I think it's safe to wrap up your points around 3 C's from what I hear you say. Talked about capital, talked about community, and then everything around integrity, accountability, pretty much culture. So it also mirrors the points that Mr. Robinson and Ruth have highlighted in terms of that understanding. So thank you so much for that. I'll jump very quickly to Precious, because we're running out of time. So Precious, over to you. Many have said that part of what is driving the bad stereotypes around Nigerians in the tech world is the promotion of the wrong role models. Starting from your days at Uniport, you've built many tech solutions that have scaled globally. In your opinion, how can positive stories like yours be told to overshadow negative ones out there?
Alrighty, thank you, Consola. That's a very important question, and honestly, the truth is stereotypes don't change just because we argue with them. They change because we outshine them with even better stories. And for me, from reference the Unipod days up till now, the lesson has been simple. Focus on building real solutions that actually solve problems. I always, when I teach my product management students, I always tell them there's a difference between solving a problem and providing a solution. A lot of the times, what I see is people build solutions that do not actually solve any problem. So just putting their heads in the clouds, right? And then, when people are seeing that Nigerians are not just chasing the hype, but Cycle people, we are not just chasing the hype, but we are creating platforms that impact lives globally, then the narrative, starts to shift. But here's the problem as well. How are they seeing that? And one thing I've noticed about the greatest innovators out of Port Harcourt is we don't talk. And a lot of us, it's easy to say, oh, let's try to get us to share our stories more. Let's try to get us to talk and all of that. Guess what? It won't happen. So if someone else can take up that challenge, to tell the stories of these people, there are lots of things I will tell you, like you'll be amazed. I think I mentioned one in the first one, when we started. The largest cryptocurrency platform in the whole of Africa was built from Port Harcourt till date. They're in Europe now, all 28 countries, and they're soon going to be the largest in Europe. They are also coming to North America. The largest open source conference that happens every year in the whole of Africa is still organized by Port Harcourt people. One of the fastest growing microfinance bank. So now these things, when I tell people, they don't even know. Okay, they don't even know. So if we can have other people, because why these innovators are working, like I've noticed, me, I'm one of them. While I'm working, I don't have the time or the energy to come and start shouting online. I rather use my time in building. All right. But at the same time, somehow it still needs to be balanced, right? Our new company, Vibrata, we are investing in ideas and stuff. Now, there is this guy when we are writing our first check for. If we didn't see from Port Harcourt, if we didn't see him sharing his story, obviously, the truth is I wouldn't have known what he was doing. I will keep asking, oh, where are the innovators? What are people doing and all that, right? He took it upon himself to share his stories. But the truth is that not everybody can do that. Me, it's hard. I'll come on social media and then I disappear for 6 months and then I come back. It's hard, right? You can have that. So, and then the challenge now is when we are not doing that, is that the wrong role models get amplified, because the truth is, let's also be honest with ourselves, controversy spreads faster than impact.
Yeah.
But if we become intentional about documenting our journey, telling our stories boldly, that's something I've started doing personally as well, and putting our work in global spaces. We make it easier for the world to see another picture of our people, one that is innovative, one that is resilient, one that is solution driven. We don't lack the people doing things. Let me just put that one out there. Let us know this. We do not lack the people doing things. What we just lack is that amplification. If you come to, I'm currently based in Canada, like the top professionals in this country are Nigerians. Nigerian doctors are the best here. They have the best clinics and everything. Like, you will be shocked. Every company you go to, like, the best doing the best work in this country are Nigerians. We just lack that thing. And we sold like 2 companies. I sold the last one recently, and then someone was asking me how much you sell them. Let me be real. I cannot tell anybody how much we sold. Even while I was in Port Harcourt, even until we left, because of obvious reasons. They will start looking for my father or my mother. Things like that. Now, anyways, just to go on with the same thing, I just digress a little bit. I believe that the platforms I've mentioned, the media houses, and even communities like tech hubs have a responsibility here, actually. So instead of waiting for like the big brands, CNN and the likes, to pick us up. Even talking about CNN, they recently covered someone. He's still a Port Harcourt boy, but he's no longer in Port Harcourt. He's in Abuja now. He has built the largest drone company, or the protection tech company in Africa. He's a Port Harcourt boy. in Abuja today, the company Terra Haptics. You know, it might ring a bell. So like we must create our own loudspeakers, right? So that means writing, do more speaking, sharing, not just, you know, our wins, but even our struggles and how we overcame them. I'm here today because a lot of people in the tech space took a chance on me, even like someone like Dr. Sibe as well. And even when we failed, they didn't throw the baby with the bathwater, right? So we are here today because a lot of people did that and, you know, gave us that chance, that space to grow, correct our mistakes and push forward. So social media is laden with people just coming to share their wins and all of that. We also need to talk about our struggles and how we overcame them, how we failed, the number of times we fell, and how we picked ourselves back up. Because I mean, there's no one who is at the top today that hasn't fallen, right? So that will also help. And at the end of the day, if we flood the world with enough authentic and positive, stories of our solutions that scale, the stories of our impact, the stories of our borderless innovation, then the negative ones will naturally fade in the background. We have an abundance of the positive stories. We like them plenty. So it's less about fighting stereotypes directly, pretend they don't even exist, they pretend they are not even there, and more about outnumbering them with better evidence. Evidence boku. It's a plenty, right? Not my language. I'm a Port Harcourt boy, born, bred, raised, school, everything. So I think that that's what my journey has shown me. If you build well, tell it well, and stay consistent, your story becomes part of the new, narrative for, Rivers people in tech. We do not have an issue, or we do not have a drought of amazing stories. We just have, an issue with distribution of that story, making it, outshine the negative ones.
Stereotypes. Thank you so much. We're running out of time, so we're going to be a lot more quicker. I might have to reduce the time for each panelist to say 3 minutes, but please, as much as you can, let's try to keep within time, bearing in mind that we're already running late. So I'll move very quickly to Bright. AI has become a buzzword in our world today, but you're already building solutions that leverage AI frameworks to solve problems in the education sector. Can you tell us a little bit about these and how these solutions can be used locally in Rivers State?
I don't think that Bright is on this call. I thought that maybe like that.
Okay, since he isn't, I'll just move quickly to Stewart then. Stewart,
go ahead.
See. Okay, I see you. I see you now. As part of your work in Harvoxx Hub, you have trained hundreds of young people in Port Harcourt on various tech skills. Quite a number of them are now able to export their skills and work virtually. What has your experience been in this, and how do you think technology can help to address youth unemployment in Rivers State?
All right, thank you very much. So I'll try to be very quick, like you said.
Thank you.
I want to thank Ruth, and I want to thank Precious, and of course Odo as well, for those insights. So somehow we'll pick just here and there with what they've said, and just to answer my question. So yeah, we've been doing that, and I think the most fulfilling outcome has always been the fact that many of these young people now did not just acquire the skills, but also they're exporting it even internally and even remotely as well. And one of the things that we were talking about a couple of days ago is the fact that majority of the hubs today, most of the people that have come up from here are now even tutors in most of those hubs, right? But the thing there is, when it comes to youth unemployment, I think I would just look at maybe 2 or 3 things. One would be remote and virtual work. The fact that a young techie somewhere in Bori, a young techie somewhere in Andoni and all that can be able to deliver software or design or, analytic services, to a company somewhere in Canada, just the fact that this person, you have a tech skill, and that way, of course, you're self-employed in some way, and you're doing something for you, and you can grow from there. Another thing which is actually at the core of what I'm so passionate about is tech-enabled entrepreneurship, right? So beyond jobs, technology should be able to enable youth to build solutions for local problems. Okay, solutions that people can pay for. Okay, and just like what Precious said, we've seen a whole lot of startups emerge in Port Harcourt and tackling logistics. For example, we have the Blake app, right? We have Land Pay in the real estate, and Precious is very much aware of that. I think he pioneered Land Pay as well for Velox real estate. We've had maybe a couple of them in agriculture. We've had fintech like Roku that is now a global brand, and so I feel that that's one way, but are they staying back? Do we have them here? Yes, they emerge from Port Harcourt, but where are they? It's not the same thing if you have your headquarters here. You'll be able to employ more people. You'll be able to employ more digital marketers. You'll be able to employ more product designers here. And that way, we're actually solving problems. And I think that's why we need to take what Odo said very much seriously in terms of paying attention to the startups and see how we can raise them. And then finally, inclusive access to, what should I call it now, opportunities, right? So we can have, just imagine that we have about 10,000 digitally skilled youths in the next 5 years. That will be very massive, okay? And before I run off, there's something to say that caught my attention, is the fact that she said, if we have people, I think I need to point out that that's somehow going on, okay? But I think the major challenge as well, it's what happens. And I'll tell you for free, one of the things we do is, especially for our DSP 300, where we train 300 reverse youths for free every, January to April every year, 300 of them for solid 3 months. And after that, we divide them into different groups and ask them to build products. It's usually crazy because we're investing resources, time in most cases. We'll have to provide transportation and data for them. But what did we find out? When you're doing it maybe second month and all that, these people most of them don't have transportation anymore. They're not turning up, right? So why these things can be going on, there's some sort of partnership and support for them, okay, for them. So they can be able to build until we get to that level where we can say, yeah, I think right now they can be able to drive. So for me, that's how we can use tech to fix the unemployment problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've touched on one of the subsequent questions, but I won't preempt you. So in the interest of time, I would ask 2 questions in one, and I would like that our panelists make their answers more bullet point like to save our time. So I'll circle back to Precious. And the question would be some of the challenges or some of the future challenges Eben spoke about, like economic diversification, food security, population explosion, etc., are challenges that technology can be used to address. What ways do you feel technology can help to prepare Rivers State for the future? That's the first question. And then the second would be, what one thing, in your opinion, can Rivers State do to invest in to see massive returns in the technology sector? So 2 in 1, these challenges clearly can be solved by technology. So how do you think technology can be leveraged? And then what one thing do you think the Rivers State government can do to get massive returns in the sector? You can go ahead, Precious.
Thank you so much. So, here's the thing. A lot of why it's easy for a lot of us to innovate and without even government help and support and all of that is because it's very easy to innovate around software. When you talk about food security and and other things like that, there are lots of things that would also have to do with hardware, and hardware is very expensive. And who never chop better food? No go do hardware. Like it's it's very expensive. Your software, something goes wrong, you just sit down in front of your computer and you just debug. Your hardware, something goes wrong, you're buying an entirely new equipment and parts and all of that. You have every time you want to debug, you're spending money. So how can tech help? The truth is that the answer is straightforward. There's nothing tech cannot do right now in this time and age. I think the main thing should be how can we actually create the environment for tech to help, for people. What is technology? It's just innovation. It all comes from need. when I came to Canada, I went to the government website to look at what they are looking for in tech. I thought, in fact, when I came here and I went to see the problems that they listed, I knew that I wasn't a techie. I knew that maybe what I knew from Nigeria is Microsoft Office, because their own problems have changed. They are talking about tech for space exploration. They are talking about tech for military intervention and so on and so forth. In Nigeria, we're talking about tech for food security. Come on. So it's just the environment. Honestly,
Yeah.
that because the innovators are there. The cutlass. I tell people all those things are pieces of technology. They came out because people needed something, and then they got it done. Every single time I'm in my house and I want to do something, and I think there should be a tool for this thing. Now let me go and build it. But before I say let me build it, I'll just type and be like, oh. And every single time I've searched on the internet for a tool for something that just came up as a need, every single time I have seen over 1,000 different solutions, that because these people have encountered those problems, done it. So it's the same thing as long as that's the mind of innovators. You think your immediate environment, something is happening. The next thing you're thinking about is, how do I build it? And guess what? If you go online to search for in the Nigerian space, chances are you will not see that thing existing, because maybe people have thought about it, but they don't have the wherewithal to, get it done. So we just need to fix our environment. And then the second part, what should Rivers State government invest in? Honestly, I would just say one thing: security. That's it. I don't even talk about, maybe lights and all of those things. Let's start from something first, right? Because if you want to talk about light, that one are their is principalities and powers that they need to fight. Is even beyond the River State government, even though they've sort of like allowed state governments now, I think with the recent regulations to generate power and so on. And by God's grace, I hope that the government will be serious about it, and people would be other people would work towards it. But the key thing is security. And the funny thing about security is that everything ties to it. If the people are not well to do, no matter how much you try to fix security, it's not going to work. Security is not to hire more policemen or hire more security people. No, that's not what it is. Where I am, I can go out, leave my door open, and come back. I'm fine. Why? When you don't have a job, the government pays you, some money to take care of yourself. For the most part, nobody's really begging, or no one is on the streets. For the most part, a lot of people are comfortable, even when they have a job or when they do not have a job. At least as in basics, not like the well-to-do or this thing. At least basics are now. When we talk about security again, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying hire more policemen or get more soldiers into the states. That one, you will keep shooting people every day. Nothing will change if the lives of change. So the lives of the people need to be elevated, that the basic things that they need as a people are not things that become luxury, are not things that they have to pray for and meet their geo to beg and all of that to get. That people get that's how to solve security. So those basic things, because that way, if my neighbors, the people around me, I know they can feed without begging or without trying to look at me in one funny way, that there is no other greater security than that. So
we hear you.
that is what the government focus on. The other things will take care of themselves easily. The applications I've released here, I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about Jen is not disturbing my life. This one, like I'm able to think and I'm able to do things. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Udo, over to you very quickly.
Okay. Let me see what I can do. Just borrowing from what Precious has said, and what I guess every other person has spoken on so far in this conversation is, and maybe permit me to, in a bid to sort of work with the time, I would, I guess, use one question to answer the other one. And I'm going to do the second question, which is what the government can invest in, especially in the context of the technology sector or the innovation sector, as I like to put it. And maybe this eventually there's some insights that can come up from the first, which is also related. I mean, they're sort of related questions anyway. So I'll just say that if the government can do one thing, not to dismiss what Precious has mentioned around security, but I'd say that, I mean, those things are really basic things, right? And let's just say that it's not even just particular to River State, right? It's across, the country. Everyone's literally afraid for their lives. You can't really open your mouth and say anything because you're literally just afraid. You can't even make any serious move. You are afraid. So if everybody is doing things afraid, what exactly are we going to do? Are we just going to fold our hands? So insecurity thing is just like power and every other basic thing. It's the same thing, right? Before you will get the government to actually like calm down and invest in insecurity, just go and buy your gun. Just go and buy your rifle and keep in your house. But I'd say that limiting this to, or just talking about the technology in the technology context, I would say that we've seen these things happen. We've done a trial and error, and everybody knows, I mean, how Tech Creek, came to be, where they were, maybe, I don't know where that came from, but we just knew that, hey, the government were ready to do something about technology, or, consolidating the efforts of, different private individuals, or even like institutions that were doing things around helping to build a community around technology, is the setting up of Tech Creek, which was supposed to be a hub that, I guess, consolidates everybody's efforts. That happened for a bit of time, or I don't know what's even happened, if that institution is still existing and still serving the purpose. But I'd say that yes, we've tried something like that. We've seen it happen, and even from there, I was hearing about the Rivers jobs, how it was also tied to Tech Creek, how they were also powering the tech behind the Rivers jobs, and yada yada. But I'd say that we've tried something like that. So can we build on what is existing and have the government, just maybe within Tech Creek, or even have multiple Tech Creeks, not just in Port Harcourt, but extending to other key parts of River State generally, because we see some cities, like if you go to Bonny, you go to this sort of I can't remember some of the local governments that enjoy power supply, that enjoy, some of these other basic things that other people don't enjoy. Can we go to those places and establish things like Tech Creek that, would have more like an innovation center where people go there, they provide solutions, and the government adopts those solutions that are being built. So it's like having your mini hackathons, or even your hackathons in those innovation centers, or more like sandboxes. People come, they look at one major problem, whether, when talking about diversification, looking at how do you use technology to drive sectors like the blue economy, the ports that we have existing. How do we make logistics work in Port Harcourt, in River State? How do we help other businesses to thrive using technology? Can the government, the different agencies within the government, can they adopt those solutions that people are building to solve or to diversify the economy? Oil and gas as well. Yes, that's one major source of revenue. But can technology actually drive the distribution of oil and gas within the states and even externally, not just even in other states, but outside of the country? What are some of the things? So what are some of the solutions that people are actually building? When you talk about, especially with Stewart, as he mentioned, about helping people structure their innovation or structure their learning towards solving problems, can we have those solutions that these people are being trained to build, or they're even building? Can we have the government invest in those solutions that directly address diversification of the economy? When you're looking at other areas, like I mentioned, logistics, agriculture, the blue economy, fisheries, our ports, trade, investment, all of these things. how can we, people who are building, all these young people that we're having in different hubs, everybody private, they are helping to drain this one, that one. What are the things that these people are building? What are they actually building? And can the government actually support by investing their money into adopting those solutions that these people are building, to encourage them to say, hey, we see what you are doing. We're going to give you this 500K, 1 million, that kind of thing, to also incentivize them, to encourage them to even build more and more solutions to help not just, things happening, the economy generally, but even the government, right? So I would say that if they're going to invest in anything, they should channel their resources towards that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll quickly move to Stewart as quickly as possible, and then we'll have the last question. So Stewart, over to you.
Oh, all right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think
Stewart, are you there?
there's no. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can hear you. Go on, Stewart.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think there's any need to say anything with respect to what Precious have said. I mean, security is right there at the top of the list, and also kind of things we would have said. But for me, right, I know I'm a believer in Nigeria, right? I believe in Rivers State, especially with what Iben is doing now. But I'm also this kind of person that believes that while we're planning, while we're hoping, because I was taught a long time ago that hope is not a growth strategy. Right? So while we're hoping and all that, I believe in what can we do strategically to get the attention. Because it's not like, I think one of the biggest lies we were lying to ourselves a long time ago was to believe that the people in government were incompetent. No, I don't think. I think so. I just they are wicked. It's not like they don't know. You understand this. You understand this when you see them building their own schools, when you see them building their own hospitals, when you see them building their own estates. You understand that these guys are not incompetent. It's not like they don't know. Their own schools, you see the latest technologies. The boards they use in their own school is not even the normal marker board you're talking about. You're talking about, latest technology enabled digital boards, right? So it means that they know these things. And if we understand the environment, it means most times we just need to start off something. If you study how the Lagos entertainment ecosystem grew, it wasn't just because government came in. These guys started doing things. And then government saw that, oh, maybe we just need to tap into it, right? And then whatever, that's what it is. So yes, maybe we can't do much when it comes to security, but I believe so much that there are pockets of things, like Udo mentioned, like a startup just need about 5 million, 3 million, 2 million here and there. What can we do to be able to talk to people and say, listen, with these guys, this is what they're building. Can we organize the mini pitch event, right? And bring this person, just come and sit down and we'll see what they are building. This guy just needs 3 million to be able to enter into the market, at least in Port Harcourt. From there, we'll be able to shoot them out. This guy needs 5 million naira to do that. I mean, we can't talk to our networks. We can't be. Can you hear me? Right. So we can actually do that. And for me, that's what matters. Can we just start off from somewhere intentionally? And, oh, I can do this. Can I reach out to the hubs? Let me see the projects they're building. I mean, okay, a couple of days ago, Precious reached out and he said, can I see, I saw this article. Can I get this one or two of these people to come and demo and all that? Let's see if we can. I mean, that's what it is. He doesn't have to necessarily wait for the government to do this, and that. I'm on the point of view that we can start off certain things and then we can attract the attention of the government. While we're praying they change, while we're praying we have the right kind of people get into position, we can't just fold our hands. We can do much more, and probably somehow, even with their own attitude, we can get them. They come, do what they want, and we leverage it and still continue to build the ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I'll just keep you off to increase my. So I would like you to quickly, Stewart, since for class, just tell us very quickly, what's the River State of your dream? What do you envision for River State of 25 years?
Well, I think what I envision is very simple. I envision a River State where that is technology driven, Like it's that should be a hub of. It should be where technology is what it is. Like it should be, if maybe not the Japan of Nigeria, but it should be Japan of Nigeria Delta, where you can make reference and say, oh, go and see what young people in River State are building, or go and see what kids in River State are building, right? That I told someone 5 years ago that in 10 years, that every street in Port Harcourt, if you bring out all the techies there, that 5% of them would have gone through my hub. And when I set that dream, I didn't know that before 10 years it was going to be possible, but I'm pursuing it. So somehow I just feel that let's have them, because let me end it like this, because if you want to raise extraordinary innovators, we need to have ordinary innovators littered everywhere. What we push you to say, I want to go beyond this, is because you've noticed something and you say, I want to go beyond it. So tech must become something normal. And that is where we can begin to raise people that will say, okay, now everybody can just build websites. Everybody can use this one. I think I need to do much more.
Yeah.
That's what Chukundah raised the bar. Everyone will like, no, I need to do beyond what he's done. He's done this one, he's proven it. This one has raised the bar. So if we can't do that, then that's actually the reverse state of my dream.
Thank you so much. Precious, over to you very quickly, and then Udo last.
Okay, thank you. I might just take a little bit more time, but please bear with me. This is very important. I mean, I've kept to time throughout this this program today, and I mean, if you wanted to give an award, I would have that award. But let me just clarify. The University of my dreams, is it what I wish for or what I think will happen?
No, what you wish, not what you think will happen. Yeah. What you desire for River State.
Okay, so I will start by this, because I mentioned something in my last talk, security, right? Land. That's just one of the different things. But here's the thing. Governments do not build a city. Entrepreneurs do. Government has no business doing business. Government should not even go. Everywhere in the world, there's no government-run business that returns profit. None. So all government needs to focus on is give the proper enabling environment for entrepreneurs to thrive. We will always pick on what is there to thrive. By grace of God, I'm in what someone we consider a senior climb. I am seeing these things daily. So here's why I said I was going to take a little more time, and this is what I want for River State 2 of my dreams. The city I'm in, Calgary, is exactly like Port Harcourt, like exactly. We have the greens, the oil. This place has the most oil in the whole of Canada. The province makes the most money in the whole of Canada as a place. Like the similarities with River State this is Calgary, this is River State. The difference is just that this one is bigger than this other one. And then what have these people done? They've made this so much money in oil. They are still making the money in oil. They are now intentionally investing in tech and intentionally creating the environment for tech companies. If you know the amount of tech companies that come from different countries of the world, even China, Japan to Calgary, because these people sat back and intentionally decided, okay, we have oil money. Can we also make this place the tech capital of the world? They are taking over Toronto. Toronto is the place everybody goes to for tech. But now it's becoming Calgary because they have created that environment that even people from other advanced countries are coming down here to build their tech solutions. So what I see or what I want is a River State where people of sound mind, people would have the right mindset to create environments for innovation that will allow people to shine, because there is no limit. There's this, as long as tech is concerned, there is literally no limit to how far we can go if the environment is created. I want to see a River State that has an innovation fund. Here today, even me that is not even a Canadian can access up to even $3 million in, government innovation fund grants. Like I said, I mean, they have no business. They can't do business because the business will fail. What do? They create the innovation fund, and then innovators come and tap from this and create. So in summary, I just want to see a place, a river state, right, that one is intentional. What we are doing right now in having a blueprint, and then intentional on actually implementing that blueprint to create an environment safe, secure. I will shock you. Like Stewart mentioned his conversation we had. Like I really need to put this point, and then I have successfully convinced lots of investors here to build what would have been the biggest, most advanced tech hub in Africa in Port Harcourt. Like everything was ready, the funds, everything, like, for me to actually get started. But guess what? I mean, these are people that had given up on Nigeria. And I just brought them together and said, look, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And then everybody's okay, yes, let's do this. Now, the day we're supposed to now actually kick off officially, state of emergency in Rivers. Now, I mean, it might not sound like a big thing because worse things have happened, but these are people that already have given up and said, I don't want to do this. And then I'm in the process of saying, let's do it. And everybody has said, okay, let's do it. Precious, take the money, go and do it. And then one funny thing just happens and everybody pulled the plug. Everybody pulled the plug. They said, Precious, please invest that money in Canada first. Like, just imagine. So all I just want to see, because the truth is that there are lots of people who want to do things at home. There are many. It wants to make me cry. There are so many people. There are so many, plenty, right? We just need that environment. You don't even need the government money. Just do what you are supposed to do as a government. That is all I want to see. Security, of lives, properties, and all of that. Improve the life of people, give them the basic necessities, and these investments will come. So that's what I see. I want to see that place that is safe for anybody to come and really invest and be certain of their returns.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Udo, a final word from you.
Okay, so good or thoughtful. I think that rather than doing wishful thinking here, I would say that I mean, and not to be biased, just serving on the Rivers 2050 Vision Committee, is that I truly wish that our government, when I look, I mean, futuristically, right, in 25 years, will adopt literally the blueprint that we're creating for the next 25 years. And this is because looking at the structure that we have, I really think that it has touched on the key major areas that would cause for us to be globally competitive and also to be driven by innovation, because again, we're going to people, we're asking them, what do you guys want, what do you want to see? And so taking all of these voices and including people into the development that we're creating for the next 25 years, I only just wish that the government would literally come and look at this blueprint and adopt it. And the reason why I'm even saying this is that it's not even like too much work, right? Because today we're celebrating Amaechi for some of the infrastructural development that he brought to the States, especially with regards to education. And in my head, I'm like, what if we had done in different sectors? Like, what if he didn't really just, put all his egg inside that's education basket? Not to say that he didn't touch other places, right? But when you look at, I mean, everybody was literally proud of the work that Amaechi had done, even though that, in fact, at that time, we weren't even thinking of sustainability. We weren't even thinking that, how would people maintain this thing, right? We're just so excited to see that this thing worked. And again, wishful thinking. Imagine that be touched across different sectors. So when we're talking about the next 25 years, I'm looking at how can governments, in a bit to diversify, how can those diversification be driven by innovation, where we're not able to now be considered, or we're not going to be considered as a minority people, right? Because I'm literally tired of hearing that, and I'm literally tired of describing where I come from as a minority place, right? We should literally be out there. We should be out there, and this thing is not too much work. It's that if people can actually focus on saying, hey, I'm dedicating, just like Precious says, I'm dedicating this amount of money into innovation and technology to drive different sectors of the economy. These things can work. We've tried it. We've seen it happen in like specific areas. I mentioned Tech Creek. We've experimented these things. So how can we consistently build upon these things, across the different sectors? And I think we'll be fine in the next 25 years.
Yeah, thank you so much. Apologies again for stretching the time. To say thank you to our distinguished and erudite panel. Appreciate all your contributions. Very insightful and meaningful. Thank you so much to everyone who has stayed up until now. I apologize. I'd like to hand over to Eben. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Oyi. And major thanks to Precious, Udo, Stewart. Bright couldn't join us, but he said he's going to share his input in writing. Ruth and Mr. Sibe, who both had, events. Ruth was even traveling today, but they said they really just wanted to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much for contributing all of your thoughts and insights. Everything has been captured. We're going to, first of all, have this information shared on the Rivers 2050 website, just as we've done for every other every other conversation, whether it's sports or culture and tourism. We're going to have all of these things captured, and then we're also going to have it featured in the Rivers 2050 book with proper credit given to you based on the insights that you've given. And just as Udo said, we're not looking at this as just us creating this blueprint and dropping it on the secretary desk somewhere. We hope that this actually gets implemented. So there's a full-blown plan for how we want to engage across political parties, engage across private sector, across public sector, across non-profit sector, to be able to drive the kind of consensus that is needed to move this vision forward. Just before the state of emergency, we had even gotten in touch with the Rivers State, the now suspended governor, to inform him of this and the cabinet, and we hope that when he becomes reinstated, we'll be able to move that conversation forward. And also not just him, engage even people who could become potential leaders of the states, looking forward into the future. So thank you so much for all your insights. Next Saturday, we'll be speaking to Mrs. Coco Kalango, who led the Port Harcourt World Book Capital Project. Again, speaking around education and some of the work that Udo just spoke about in her closing words. We'll speak about how we can move forward, some of the initiatives that began from that World Book Capital Project. Port Harcourt was the first sub-Saharan city to become World Book Capital in Africa. And that's a continent-wide thing, right? But post 10 years after that, we have schools that don't have roofs. We have schools without blackboards. And it's just so ridiculous thinking about how much we had lost, in a space of 10 years, looking at where we were before. So we'll be speaking to her about that next Saturday. I hope you can join us. Follow us on social media as well and stay in touch with all that we're doing. All right, folks. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.